Hello. So we are going to talk about innovative tools to supercharge your Spring Boot applications. So here, the Spring Boot, the revolutionary Java application development, because nowadays most of the enterprise developers are going to use these Spring Boot applications because this is the server and the most reusable framework. And so here we are going to examine tools that how to set up the project and how to eliminate the boilerplate code and improve the monitoring and solving the development challenges. And I will go by one each tools whatever we have used that. So first of all, here the Spring Intelligence. So how are you going to start your project? So the easy way is like you have spring.io installer website there, like you can start, you can create your new project. So there you can get all the dependencies which are needed, like all the starters, like Tomcat starters, Spring Data GPS starters, and you'll be whatever the starters you need. So you'll get all the starters from there, and you can configure the packages however you want, .jar and the .jar however you want there in the Spring.io. So you can see that, and after that you can download the project, and wherever you want to use that any IDE you can use that. So this is how the Spring Boot start our projects, and mainly the dev tools. So how the dev tools will help on our development cycles, because here the dev tools mainly, so what will happen is it will monitor your class path whenever you made any changes. So automatically it will refresh your class files, and it will be reflecting with your latest code whenever you start at the server. And the reloading, so what's happening here, so whenever you make changes on the front end, so the browser will automatically will be uploaded with the latest changes and reflect into the back end. And the property defaults here, we can say here we can say we have the many properties like application.dev and application.like sit, and you have application.prod, different properties is there, and so we can use the properties wherever you want to get it based on the at the rate value properties which is there in this Spring framework. And the next we are going to do that, how the Spring Boot interacting with the Docker containerization. So basically here we have how the self-contained applications will work, and simplified the Docker file and consistency across environments and Spring Boot profiles. We're going to cover that in this. So basically the self-contained applications, so what happens means, so when you create the standard applications, so it will include the embedded server and Tomcat, like kind of the jerseys. So all the necessary like a jar or war file will be replaced. Will be going to add into that, and the simplified Docker files here from. So what happens here when they open JDK? If you have the open JDK, there we are going to replace our jar into the path, and we can tell to Docker image, so where we are keeping our jar file in the specific locations. So the Docker will be going to take that the var, and will be going to start your applications based on your configurations, and and consistency across environments. Like so here the Dockers, it will help you to run on your local environment, can be run CADC with the CD pipelines and testing environments and production servers. It will run on the different environments where like wherever you install that. And finally the Spring Boot profiles and Dockers. So basically this profiles, so you are going to use that. So whenever you want, so let's say you have different environments, asset environment and dev environment and productions. So you have different the properties based on the environment. So if you're using the profiles, so based on the profile name, it's dev or SIT or the production, the profile name, it will take the respective property and will be placed into into the respective Docker image, and Docker the respective jar file wherever you need it. So the next is how the Spring Boot aware of your IntelliJ, like kind of the here I am going to tell about how the IntelliJ. So basically here, so the IntelliJ will help you to the like a kind of the automatic suggestions the code. So whenever you write the code, so it will help you the some code snippet, and for debugging. So the Spring Boot applications, so it's easily you can debug the applications, and if you want to run the any your test cases, so the so it's like you can do that like method level or like kind of the class level, wherever you want, you can in the IntelliJ you can do that. And basically here in this in the IntelliJ IDE, so this is a user-friendly IDE, and whenever you trying to write the code, and it will help you that where you are calling that method and where you are going to call that means. So it will help you on that. This is the Spring Boot is helping for the IntelliJ IDE. And when it comes to the eliminate boilerplate code, so basically here the boilerplate code is nothing but, so let's say like you are writing some Poser classes. So in the Poser classes you have to write many setters and getters and like kind of the toString methods and the hash code and equals method. So this like the Spring Boot will help you to reduce all the boilerplate code. So with the help of there is a feature, there is annotation called as at the rates and getters and no arguments are like nowadays we have the data which is one annotations which will help you to reduce the your boilerplate code. This boilerplate code mainly in the runtime you won't get many benefits. So only the developer perspective you will get the less code. I mean I can say you can the code will be reduced and the burden on the developers will be reduced. So that is the main objective on the eliminating the boilerplate code. And how the Spring Boot interacting with the integrating with the microservices architectures. So basically here the Spring Boot mainly, how it will start the Spring Boot. Basically, like there is a one Spring Boot main applications which will help you to start your applications. So what will be there in the Spring Boot main applications? So there is a the static main method will be there, which is going to load all the classes under the same package what you define in the main class. So how it will be going to start that? So there is an annotation called at the rate Spring Boot applications. So that will help you to load all your classes which you are created, which you are developed under the same package. So it will be loaded runtimes whenever you start your servers. So mainly here, my Spring Boot applications are going to interact in integrating with the microservice. So basically here, when you write any service, RESTful services or anything like web services, anything. So when you develop one RESTful services, that is you are going to create the at the rate REST controllers, which is nothing but the RESTful services. After that, when you write the microservices, it is the part of when you develop the Spring Boot applications, which is having the RESTful service. And at the same time, if you want to interact with the other services, you can do with the REST templates. So here, this Spring Boot is integrating with the microservices because due to these Spring Boot features, mainly at the Spring Boot application and starters, and how your Spring Boot will help you to the microservices, because microservices nothing but it's the when you're writing the applications, it's let's say like I have the one applications, I have the like different modules are there. So now I want to write each module one application, one microservices. Then so what happens means each module will be going to run in one service. That means like you are going to write one, like I can say one service for that. And so that will be that each module will be running on own database and own server. So what happens means when you integrating all the services, so it will be the performance will be increased compared to the like a monolithic applications. Because let's say I have one microservices, I have the two microservices. One is employee microservices and another one is department microservices. So when I interacting with my applications, even my department applications, my department microservice is down. Even also I can interact with my employee microservices, because that is the advantage is there here, because both are running on their like individual servers. That is the service independence here. And inter-service communications. Suppose if you want to interact with the one service to another services, so here, so the Spring Boot will help you on the how to interact with. So basically, in the RESTful services, you have REST template. There is a template called REST templates. So it will help you how to interact with the other services. So there you have different methods like you can invoke the get method or put methods. You have different HTTP methods. So with these methods, like you can invoke the other service, and here you can interact with the one service to other service. And so service discovery. So I was telling about, let's say I have more than 5 services. How are you going to interact with each other? So first of all, you need to register with the one, like one registry. Then so you like you can be integrating with the other services. The Eureka, which I can say one is Eureka registry is there. So this will help you to interact with the one service to another service based on the. So in the Eureka registry, so you are going to provide the what are the URLs are there. Like you are going to provide the all the service URLs. You are going to interact with each other. So the registry will help you to what is the next service you want to interact based on the your key, whatever you're going to provide from one service to another service. And the gateway is there. So gateway is here. This is the a centralized entry point for the interacting with one service to another service. So it will help you on the load balancing for each all the services, and so it provides security and mainly like whenever you're going to create a API gateway. So what happens means when the request comes for the API gateway, so it will provide the request, the service which is coming to there, which service you have to invoke. It will provide the respective URL. So the API gateway will help you on that. So now automated database migrations. So here version control for databases, and here we can do like track and manage scheme changes as code alongside your application. And suppose if you made any changes in the database, so it will help you to the validate your database query or whatever may be. And repeatable migrations. So suppose if you're writing many database scripts, so it will help you on that. And Spring Boot mainly it's automatically detecting and applying the migrations while starting the servers, because this elements the traditional disconnect between the application code and the schema changes whenever you deploy the service. So the next one is the real services for the testing. So whenever you try to test the Spring Boot applications, you no need to worry about the your mocks. So it will be going to run with their own services. So there is an annotation called there is Spring Boot test. So it will help you on that. And so whenever you run that any test case, so you can do that fresh clean instance for the every test run. And even you can run the like you can test the your database queries, and you can test the your database repositories whenever you are trying to integrate with the database with the repositories and services. So the last one is circuit breaking and fault tolerance. So the circuit breaking will help you to whenever any failures happen in your service. So it will catch the circuit breaker for your failure, and it will help you to provide the problems when the circuit opens. So it's keep on it to look for the failures. If the failures exceed the maximum of times, what happens means it will report to you. So immediately it will stop the sequentially requests which is coming for the circuit breaker. So that is the main advantage in the circuit breaker here. And a rate limited. The product services from the being overwhelmed by the constraining the rate of the request. This ensures system stability during traffic spikes and prevents resource exhaustion. So here it will be protecting the services whenever you trying to whenever you got the fault tolerance when you run your services, and it will show the what is the topic is coming to the your request and your services, and where the maximum the topic is coming, and based on that, so you can go and you can analyze the your issues. Suppose if you have any issues on that. Thank you very much. That's it.